An update tonight on the tragic death of 12-year-old Mariah Seenath. An autopsy confirms that Mariah died as a result of blunt force trauma to the head.
The Form 3 student of San Fernando East Secondary School was found in bushes near the recreation ground in Friendship Village, Ste Madeleine. Authorities believe she was on her way to her grandmother's home when the attack occurred. There were bruises on her body. Her death has left the community deep in shock, with relatives demanding justice.
She knows, I noticed about she knows it's not in place. Right, and she have a bruise over here and she forehead. My daughter, I know my daughter.
She had some grass over here still.
I will get justice for my daughter. I will get justice for my daughter.
Describing her as a loving and ambitious child, he says everyone is devastated over her death.
She wanted to be a professional footballer, but other than that, that was she sidelined. She wanted to be a bank manager and sideline play football. But she dreams shattered. For some reason, I don't know who it is or whatsoever.
I don't know who will do that to a 12-year-old girl, but then we live in a country where Akil Chambers, Andrea Barrett, Reshma Kanchan, all of these people were at the behest of crime in Trinidad and Tobago, unfortunately. And it's very unfortunate that this 12-year-old girl, Marissa, right? She was beaten and left to die. Beaten and left to die, all right? The article said the last time Marlon Seenath saw his 12-year-old daughter, Mariah, she was being lifted and loaded into the back of a forensic van on Saturday afternoon. Hours earlier at 7 a.m., the child had left her grandmother's house in Friendship Village, Ste Madeleine, walking the familiar track she and her sisters often used to go home or to get home, but Mariah never made it home. The child's body was found by a passerby shortly after noon on Saturday, lying motionless in the Friendship Village recreational ground. The passerby told police that she had been walking the track when they saw several dogs in the area. There she found Mariah's body lying on her back with a bruise to her stomach area and grass around her neck. Police classified Mariah's death as a homicide but offered no further details on what is believed to have happened. That's very sad. Very, very sad. And it's very unfortunate that that happens in Trinidad and Tobago, especially to a 12-year-old girl. I don't know why a 12-year-old could do anybody or say to anybody that would warrant you killing, beating a 12-year-old. But mental illness is a real thing in Trinidad and Tobago. And unfortunately, we only have one St. Anne's ward, right? And I don't even know what to say because I don't want to be insensitive on the matter, but government had to do something in regards to mental illness in Trinidad and Tobago. And I don't know, TN Tech and the CCTV cameras, I saw government putting down CCTV cameras across the country. I mean, we know that a lot is not working. But I guess the only thing I could tell parents today is you can't have your child at that age walking by themselves. Let's be real, all right? I think we need to discuss nationally what is the right age or what age a child should reach before he or she is allowed to walk the nation's roadways alone. Because it's not safe at all. It's not safe at all in Trinidad and Tobago anymore. That's the reality that we live in. But a lot of persons I saw children at the age of 5 walking home from school alone. And this is the reality that we live in. To have from primary school 6 and they're traveling alone, stopping a taxi and I mean, it's good and bad in a sense because at least they know how to travel, But maybe we should start a national conversation around such and around what age a child should be able to just walk out either the grandmother's house and walk home alone, because you have real crazy people living around here and in the country where they could, if they could bugger Akil Chambers, who's a 12-year-old girl, walking home alone through a bushy track. And again, it's sad, and I'm not trying to be insensitive, but we should normalize picking our children up, right? And then maybe Kamala Prasad-Bissessar, the Ministry of the Public Administration's minister, should look at cutting down the working hours. It was tried and tested in several countries outside of Trinidad around the world, and it's proven to work. You cut down the working hours, you allow for leisure time, so therefore people could pick up their children while still leaving the wages the same. Paying the same wages for less hours a week, because let's be real, people sitting down in ministry buildings not doing anything. We found $50,000 fortnightly in contracts that are going for ghost gangs. The same money that we find in that going for ghost gangs, we could put it to use for employees that are actually working and relax how much hours they work. So instead of working 9 to 5 or 6 to 7, you allow persons to work 5 hours and then go home, or normalize working from home. COVID-19, people were able to work from home, right? So therefore they get time to go and pick up their children from work, because the reality is people working 2 and 3 jobs just to maintain a household, right? People working 2 and 3 jobs just to maintain a household, and yeah, children raising children. We need to now start that national conversation on bettering lives and livelihoods in Trinidad and Tobago through deliberate means, instead of just looking at maybe a reactive approach. We go look through cameras. Like a preventative measure is always the best measure. And maybe the national conversation needs to be guided around cutting down the working hours and allowing persons to that leisure time so they could spend that time with their families as well. I saw articles where they say, I think Philip Alexander was speaking about no homework for children, all right? Homework ain't really doing anything. You spend most of your life as a child in school, and then you spend that time in primary school preparing them for SCA to be zoned to a school that still teaches the same the same things that Mova Laventil teaches, a Presbyterian school teaches, even down to the college level teachers. The curriculum is the same in Trinidad and Tobago. There is no difference in it. So we should definitely look at getting rid of the SCA system and go with a GPA type system. Instead of zoning children, we will grade you from primary to secondary to tertiary. And that's what we'll do. Keep you in the same school. So the same primary school you go to, you stay in your school for 10 years before you either want to go across to tertiary education or any other education, any other thing to further your education, basically. But this SCA system is not working. And it is causing families to break up across Trinidad and Tobago. And in our diaspora as well, Caribbean countries, Barbados and everywhere else, I saw other Caribbean countries trying to enact these same things. Instead of calling it a primary school, they call it elementary school, but it's still doing the same nonsense. Move away from the SCA, go into a GPA type system and grade the child from there, and grow the child in the community with the same friends and same teachers for at least 10 years. And then you could move on. And in that, through the Ministry of Sports, through the Ministry of People, through all the ministries, with a collective approach to governing and a collective approach to enhancing your child's future, they could engage in sports and use sports to develop talent and nurture talent in Trinidad, and actually get people that want to play sports again in Trinidad and Tobago, instead of wanting to go to the bar, or instead of wanting to, partake in illegal activities such as the Form 1 that was found with weed, marijuana in the school. The only reason why that is festered is simply because there's nothing to do in school but learn mathematics. Not everyone wants to learn mathematics. Not everyone, it's a priority. Let me make sure and say that, it's a priority. But not everyone have the book sense. Some persons have common sense, or some persons are good with their hands, computer science, I don't know, something that a child is interested in. And I am not, and in this regard, I cannot blame Kamala Persad-Bissessar simply because when I went to school, it had that. Javelin, track and field, football. We even had competition, school-to-school competition. I don't know if you all had that in schools, where I went to Success Laventille. So Success Laventille well, let's go to the primary level at least. St. Dominic's RSC was facing off against Mover Anglican. And we would figure out who's the best school. And every year we compete to take home a trophy, right? And that used to enhance a lot of persons to want to come out and do something in school, right? Yes, there's still a lot of errors in the system, but majority of the errors is lack of government assistance. When the principal had to find the money, and the principal had to do the fundraisers, and the principal is the one that have to sort everything, it becomes difficult to even do anything in schools, right? Because it will be dependent on monies that you get. Cub Scouts, what the hell going on with the Scouting Association in Trinidad and Tobago? A lot of persons, how much young, for starters, the Cub Scout unit at the St. Dominic's RSC primary school, not even there, right? And not even there. It's dismantled, at least from what I know. So we don't even have Cub Scouts in schools anymore and things that young people can look forward to. The Scouting Association used to take young people to St. Vincent, take persons to Grenada, across the world, right, traveling. That's not even happening as much as it's happening, or it happened before, when Kamala, again, the People's Partnership, was in power. Because I went to school when Kamala was there. I got a laptop, thankfully. Too bad. But, you know, I can't lie to you. For the past 10 years, Trinidad and Tobago, unfortunately, things like this happened more and more frequently. Where is education today? Where is it today? Where's the Scouting Association? Where is the Go Green, the green bins that was introduced to allow persons to recycle? Where the litter wardens? You remember we had litter wardens? During 2010 to 2015, we had litter wardens where if you were littering and dropping paper at the side of the road or urinating at the side of the road, that was a ticketable offense. When you go up by Mount St. Benedict, the signs are still there. Right, that you can't litter because you'll get ticketed by the litter warden. But we don't even have the litter warden anymore. Where's the community policing patrol? Where's all of that? All of that was started 2010 to 2015. And every single thing was dismantled. The community policing patrol, they will come to your constituencies. I have, give me the mouse. I have, so look at this. And this, I applaud this, and this is still on the same topic with the young lady, with the 12-year-old that was killed. But I want to show you this, and I really do applaud this Trinidad and Tobago, and I want to applaud this police officer, this WPC, right? So the WPC is engaging in, instead of, for once in a school fight, right? You're seeing where a police officer is actually participating in extracurricular activities with young people and secondary school students in a school. And this is a type of interaction that we need more often, not only at schools, but across Trinidad and Tobago. We need to have a unilateral approach to, I don't want to call it crime, but disobedience and school violence. And that approach must not just be putting armed guards in schools, but also having interactions like this in schools, where on a lunch break, students could come out and play with a police officer like this, play tennis. Maybe we should open up, instead of just opening up schools and making it, like a jail cell, hint, Success Laventille, you have a field where I like pool, teach children pool. Chess, the chess club. What's happening with all of that? chess clubs, checkers, anything that children are interested in, not just a library with books, because you're not going to capture everyone like that. The world changing, you know, is either Trinidad and Tobago change with the world, or we regress and we continue the Great Britain system that Great Britain not even following anymore. The Caribbean is the only place that following it as much. Great Britain moving away and they enhancing their education, while we who were colonized by them, we say, hey, we want we independence and we want we republic. We got it and we still following your system. Imagine that. But this one I didn't want to get to. I didn't want to get to this one because this one's sad. Moving away from education, this one falls on the doorstep of the Trinidad and Tobago's police service and the lack thereof of either funding or political willpower, or even the human mindset to actually want to work and do something about violence or crime in general. Number 17. I want you to know that I don't want to politicize a death, but I want to remind you, Trinidad and Tobago, because you just heard about 12-year-old Mariah Seenath, but I don't want you to forget about Jessie Bepan.
After about 2 days of continuous searching, the body of 16-year-old Jessie Bepan has been found. It was said to be in a decomposing state. The student of the Waterloo Secondary School was discovered by a member of a search party consisting of friends and family at around 10 o'clock on Wednesday morning. Rishi Harinanan has this report.
16-year-old Jessie Bepan of Heliconia Drive, Roystonia, Couva was last seen standing at St. Mary's Junction in Freeport at around 2 o'clock on Monday. On Wednesday, relatives of the teen got the shocking news that his decomposing body was in a drain just off the compound of the Waterloo Secondary School, the school he attended.
Well, far as we heard is that they find him this morning and they saw him down in the drain, and I all basically what the scene right now going on over there. Well, that is maybe around 10 o'clock this morning. They find him this morning.
Who found him?
And one of the guys who searched. There are some guys who were searching around for him.
Family member?
Yeah, a friend member.
According to initial reports from the police, Jessie had suffered injuries to the face and his body had already started to decompose.
He was just a normal, humble guy.
Police officers investigating the find was seen passing through a hole in the wired fence. CNews understands students frequently passed through the fence to do activities which were not permitted on the school's compound. The police cordoned off the area near the school while crime scene officers searched for clues. The gates to the school were closed and classes suspended.
According to the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service Twitter page, an autopsy conducted on Jessie Bepan has found that the teenager died from blunt force trauma to the head. Meanwhile, a parent whose daughter attends the Waterloo Secondary School expressed her condolences to the Bepan family and said the incident has traumatized him.
It's disgusting to know that what it is doing to the children now. From the state of the country, that the crime rate is in the country right now, to school children. I mean, this guy could be my son, right? I mean, I feel the pain of the parents. I can imagine what they are going through right now, right? Looking at what the parents do, the same thing here, the same thing that what is going on. They are feeling the same way too. What is really going to our schools with all this bullying in school, and now this study killing start? When would it stop?
As a father of two, he wants to know what the Ministry of Education is doing to address these issues.
I'm not feeling safe. My daughter is here. I'm not feeling safe at all. I'm not saying the school is not good, but what is it the government is doing to protect our children in school? I mean, I born and grew in the central area here, which I knew it was safe. I could have walked this road without no predators hamburging me. Now I am self-employed. Wherever I go to work, I make sure I'm back here about 2:30 to pick up my daughter.
No, that's sad, but you all realize there's a pattern in Trinidad. Blood force trauma is the pattern for how young persons die, in Trinidad and Tobago. And almost every year we call on the government, the ministry to do something, to say something, to be different. And while we got police officers in schools now, and while this matter did not happen from a school or at a school, we have a pattern in Trinidad and Tobago, and might be a mental illness pattern. When Prime Minister Keith Rowley said that we have a public health concern on crime, I don't believe it's a health concern, but it might be a matter of, I don't know, mad people walking around Trinidad and Tobago watching a 12-year-old girl, Mariah, and wanting to kill a 12-year-old, beat a 12-year-old, and then we had Jesse B. Pan decades ago, right, that lost his life outside of a school, and still the matter is pending. So, see what happens moving forward. I call on the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service to do more in this matter, in these matters. But then I can't just say the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, but I must also call on the Ministry of either Homeland Security or the relevant authorities, the National Security Council, and in that regard, Prime Minister, as head of the National Security Council, to really do more. Because every year, our budget, a large sum of our budget goes towards national security. And whether or not funds are allocated through that to the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, I mean, it usually was just for rentals, right? Because we rent in police stations across the country. Now it is under Kamala Prasad Bisesa that police stations such as Karanaj Police Station is not rented anymore. So again, we just need to move assiduously into saving funds that we're spending behind renting into actual policing. And the community policing units definitely helped. It will help. It will continue to help. And I pray to God that moving forward after budget 2025, 2026, we could see meaningful changes across Trinidad and Tobago to better enhance the lives and the protection of the people of Trinidad and Tobago.